So today we're going to talk about something very personal and special. We're going to give you an update on a situation we have been going through now for what, 10 months? About 10 months?
Yeah.
And the title of this is Are Relationships Always Worth Rescuing? And for me, it would depend on when you ask me that question, right? So, growing up in a fairly chaotic environment when I was young and having some pretty difficult relationships in our family, it was easier for me to sort of walk away. I'd made it, easier to walk away and build walls. And if things got too chaotic, if there's too much chaos and drama, bye-bye, I'm out. So I'm leaving because it was a defense mechanism. It was my way of protecting myself, protecting my family. And I had this crazy rule. It's like this no drama rule, especially at certain times in my family. So like times in the morning when I'm getting ready with Chloe and we have our little rituals, it's like, nope, you don't get to call and create any drama in my life between the hours of X and Y. And so I made it so rigid that almost was drama causing, right? So no one was allowed to call me with any problems or anything during these hours because it was my way of handling drama.
Your way of dealing with it.
My way of dealing with it. Yeah. So we talk a lot about how to handle, how to deal with things, and we, in your lives, and we deal with patience, and it's really easy to talk about some of this stuff when it's not your own family.
And we've had plenty of drama in
Both
our own
both
homes
of us, right,
and in our own lives, and obviously here at Amen Clinics, where we see patients who have mental health issues.
Right.
Plenty of drama.
So we believe normal's a myth. Normal is a myth. And I like to say sometimes normal's overrated, right?
But about a year ago.
Right. About a year ago.
About a year ago, there was serious drama.
A really big situation that happened. My sister, who I hadn't spoken to her for quite some time, didn't really even know where she was for a while. I got a call that what had happened is her children had been taken by CPS, DHS or CPS, Child Protective Services. I didn't really understand why. She was not an abusive person, but we didn't really understand what was going on, and they were out of state. So we got involved, and at first I did not want to get involved. And I'm like, oh, here we go again. It's drama. It's drama, and I have my no drama policy. So I'm like, whatever it is, I just can't deal with it. And then I'm like, wait, we can't do that. And Daniel, of course, if you don't want to get involved in drama, family drama, never marry a psychiatrist who wants to save the world. I'm just putting that out there right now. Just don't do it. So, no, he's amazing. So he is I don't know if there's anyone in my family that you haven't sort of tried to rescue at this point, but so he...
And been actually fairly successful.
Yeah, been very successful, actually. So, you said we have no choice. This is...
You can't let children go into foster care.
No, I agree with that. The reason the thing that got me was when the kids went into foster care. So there was no way...
Right, adults can make choices to use drugs, to not use drugs, to work, to not work. And you don't have to be around that because you become like the people you spend time with. But I'm one of 7 children. Family's always been incredibly important to me. And when I saw that family just blow apart and the government get involved, I'm like, no, right, we have to get involved.
And that's when I went, you're absolutely right. So then the question becomes, at what level do we get involved? Right? We had to get the kids out of foster care. We knew that. But at what level do we get involved? And he's like, same thing he always says, bring her down. Let's scan her. Let's figure out what's happening. Because we actually didn't know what was happening. So I have to say, we're going to update you. She's becoming just one of our biggest success stories right now. It's been amazing. So that relationship for me has really turned around and healed. But more importantly, on Mother's Day, she got the kids back, and that was just huge. So the kids are back with her right now. That relationship is healing.
So it was about October,
right,
and September. The kids got taken away, and bumps and setbacks, but through consistent, loving behavior, mostly on your part. A lot of
coaching from my team.
And my favorite picture, my favorite picture is initially you go, your kids are involved. You need to put on your big girl panties.
So let me clarify that. She was devastated. I mean, imagine, right? Suicidal. She was suicidal because she lost her home, her family, her kids, didn't have a job. I mean, everything all at once, right? One of those stressors is enough for someone to sort of lose it. Everything happened all at once. So she was suicidal. And some of her behavior became erratic, understandably, because of that happening. And so at that point, I was like, you need to suck it up. Like, I'm not kidding. Right now, you need to be a warrior, and you need to put on your big girl panties because, like, this is, like, I'm not kidding. And so the joke with us now is I bought her a pair of big girl training pants, right, because that was, like, our joke between us. And now she keeps them as a reminder, like, to put on your big girl. She looked at me, she goes, did you just tell me to put on my big girl pants? Like, I did. Like, I'm not joking.
So that actually became the theme of this rehabilitation. I think Tana's next book is going to be called Put On Your Big Girl Panties.
Right. It is. But I have to tell you, so for me, there's a few things I want to talk about with this live chat. It was hard. Like, I'm not lying right now. Like, it was hard. There were points along this journey that it was hard. But the payoff now is amazing. I don't think, we talk a lot about eternal value. I don't think there's anything that could probably be more important than this. Seeing that relationship, not just with us, but with her kids, and the whole family coming back together, it's pretty amazing. But I gotta tell you, it was not easy. There were points that I questioned whether I wanted to, like, how much more can I do? How much more do I want to get involved? I've never had panic attacks in my life where I, like, literally had, like, nightmares and panic attacks. I was having nightmares. I was having panic attacks, waking him up at midnight going, I can't do this. Like, I just can't do this. So, you know, I don't consider myself, like, this, like, psychically gifted person, but I knew that there were some things happening, like, just intuitively, like, my body was telling me, okay, you need to handle this very carefully. So I was having these panic attacks, and I knew that if we did things wrong, I really believed my sister would be absolutely suicidal. So we were careful how we handled it, and I think the way that we did it was beautiful. We made sure we boosted her, and we put most of the work on her so that she would have to build herself up so that she had the confidence then. And so rather than us just swooping in and rescuing her, you know, we did the hand up, not hand out thing, where she had to do the work, and she had to work to get them back, and that way, when she got them back, she didn't feel like we just did it, so that she felt like a failure. She felt like she actually had to work hard, and now she feels successful, and she feels more confident.
And
but
she has a job, and she's
working, absolutely. She's doing amazing. But the other thing is I had to have a team myself. So to caretakers out there or people who are going through this, I get it. Because I was like, there were times I wanted to drown her. I wanted to strangle her. I was frustrated.
Let's not say too much of that.
Okay, but it was true. No, it was true. It was hard. And they need to know the truth. It was hard. So it's really easy for me to sit here and talk to patients and draw little diagrams and go, okay, well, it's not going to be easy every day. They're going to have setbacks. But when you're in the middle of those setbacks, it's not easy, right?
And what's the term for setbacks?
Curious, not furious.
When somebody does something
furious.
You like, become curious, why did that happen, rather than angry and judgmental.
But there were times I was furious.
And judgmental doesn't help. And, you know, and the goal is, well, what can I do to be helpful in this situation?
So I got lucky because I had an amazing team. I was furious. But I had you, and I had one amazing social worker. Now, some of them, not so much. But one that was absolutely amazing. She is, like, literally, I'm thinking she's just, like, racking up points in heaven because she's ridiculously, like, committed. But, you know, she would look at me and she's like, it's not time to give up. Like, I've seen worse. Get better. And I'm like, okay. And then you were just always right there. And with that kind of a support system, so you need a support system. If you're the one involved in the trenches in the day-to-day, you've got to have a support system. So figure out.
So if you have a family member who's bipolar, or you have a family member who's an addict, or they're just acting erratic, So the first thing we did was scanned her. We
Right.
went, how much of this is biological versus just a bad
And it
character.
was complicated. We don't need to go into all of it, but it was complicated. Like many of you deal with, it was complicated.
And then we actually found out she had something called Irlen Syndrome. She'd been in 19 accidents. It's a visual processing disorder. And through a series of steps, she became more stable. You were her primary coach, all in an effort to get these kids in a stable environment, because we don't want them growing up with the same drama and trauma and then just perpetuating this negative cycle of behavior.
So, but what was really interesting is when I get feedback now from the social worker, and she's like, her inside's actually amazing. Like, she's a good mom. So things went off track, and that can happen. What is it you said? It's more normal to have a problem at some point in your life than it is to not have a problem. This isn't unique to us. It's not unique to you. Like, at some point, someone in your family is likely to have a problem. So rather than feeling shame or, running away from it, just understand it happens to most families at some point. And when she got the right treatment, to hear that from the social worker, she's like, no, she's actually an awesome mom. She's got amazing insight. But when all of those stressors stacked in her life, it snapped, right? It just snapped. Anybody can do that.
And ultimately, one of the best things that ever happened to her, because she was really going sideways, going the wrong way, and now will be stronger than ever before. And
now she's got a support system, and so that's really good.
So what are some of the big lessons?
So one of them is the team. I actually wrote it down because this is really, really important. And what we said is, we titled this, "Are Relationships Always Worth Rescuing?" The truth is, I think you also have to know about the relationship with yourself, and you can answer this better as a doctor. I don't know if that's always true, because it depends on whether or not it's abusive to you. Right?
I mean, some toxic relationships are not worth rescuing.
You can love people from a distance.
Damage you. And, I was reading a quote by Pastor Rick Warren, who's a friend of ours, and he said, sometimes God encourages people to leave your life. Don't chase them.
Stop chasing them, right?
Stop chasing
So you also have to understand and be kind to yourself, and love the relationship with yourself. And so I did a lot of praying. This one was worth rescuing, no question. And to see them whole as a family again is just
joy.
That's eternal value, right?
Joy.
So don't give up. I mean, and I had that team that helped me not to give up, and clear boundaries. So I still have my no drama boundary. I still have those rules in place. And so everyone understands what those boundaries are. But I also had to learn, how to be a little more flexible. And yeah, I know it's not easy, but it's okay. But it's okay to have boundaries too. So everybody's very clear. And sometimes those boundaries they create safety. So one of the reasons that they like being around me, my sister wants to be near us, is because she's like, it's safe near you. You're actually like the mom that I really need, is because those boundaries for her are really important, and she's come to love them. So boundaries aren't a bad thing. They're really healthy. Those were some of my lessons. I don't know. What about you?
Stay with it. Understand the brain. Your brain can have problems, like your heart can have problems, or your immune system can have problems, and you have cancer. It's just crazy to me that when people's behavior gets really sideways, people become so judgmental. But we would not be judgmental if they had cancer, or they had a liver infection, or they had a bone disease. And it makes me so sad, because most psychiatrists never look at the brain. And so we really don't, in a crisis of behavior, we don't as a society put the brain in the center of that crisis and go, is it working or not working? I testified in a death penalty case. I was just writing about this for a new book I'm working on. And this guy killed 4 people in 11 days on a meth run. And when I went to court with his very damaged brain, and explained it to the jury, the prosecutor was not happy. And when he got up to cross-examine me, he said, Dr. Amen, I understand you grew up Catholic. I said, yes, sir. He said, as a Catholic, don't you believe in evil? And I stopped. And I said, yes, sir, I do believe in evil. But I'd never call anybody evil unless I could scan them first. and I think we just have to begin to change our paradigm. When people's behavior goes rogue, when it goes bad, when it's not helpful, somebody should be asking, is there a brain component to it?
So I really want to honor you for a second, okay? Because I was one of those people. I was extremely judgmental. When I met you, didn't want to date a psychiatrist, didn't want to be psychoanalyzed. It's black and white. You do a bad thing, you should be fried. Like, that's just it. Like, it's just because my life was so not easy growing up, and I wanted rules. And I mean, like, not kidding, rules in place to protect people.
And you had judgment.
A judgment, big time. And I wanted to be the judge and the jury. Yes, judge and jury. So, but that was a safety. That was like a defense mechanism for safety. And it was really hard. We had some interesting conversations, let me tell you. So it was really hard for me to even imagine, like, relaxing that judgment at all, ever. But when I saw it when I saw what you do, what we do, begin to affect my own family and heal my family, where I could then begin to heal relationships. You know, are all relationships worth rescuing? Dear Lord. It healed my relationship with my dad after not talking to him for decades. And now my sister, and, this is really important. And it's not easy to change something you've believed for a long time, even if what you believed wasn't totally accurate. But I want to honor you with that. It's still a hard thing for me to let go of sometimes, because it kept me safe. But it doesn't mean that it can't be better than it was.
You're going to make me cry.
So
and the fact is, if you don't look, you don't know. And somebody who had 19 car accidents, really?
So I thought she was just a really bad driver and irresponsible.
Right. That she's irresponsible.
Right.
When she had a visual processing disorder, and that's how you get 19.
Well, and then let me just tell you, I want to talk about that for a second. She thought she wouldn't tell anyone, because she thought they would think she was seriously crazy. She would see these weird halos and weird lights and, like, laser beams, like when she would, like, she can't be under fluorescent lights, but she wouldn't tell anyone, because she's like, people are going to think that I have schizophrenia, or they're going to think that I have some weird, they're going to lock me up if I tell them that. So instead, she would just go around driving and getting into car accidents. So people would just think that she was irresponsible and shouldn't be driving. We got her the glasses for Irlen Syndrome. Bam, changed everything. It was really kind of creepy and eerie. But
yeah, so I think a couple of the big things, we did a SPECT scan on her. We then gave her nutrients to help heal her damaged brain. We discovered she had the Irlen Syndrome, IRLEN.com.
Yeah, her vitamin D was like,
her vitamin 6? D was like awful. So give the brain the nutrients it needs, get them a great coach so they can begin to get their thoughts better, clearer. And all of a sudden what we saw is her family begin to heal. And there's just nothing cooler than being involved in that. And over the weekend we saw them. And the little girl was, she fell and Tana helped her. Tana acted like Tana always does. She's the nurse. And she looked at her and said, I want to be like you. And so she now has a really cool model of healing and somebody to look up to. So are relationships always worth rescuing? The answer is no. I mean, if you're with someone who's beaten you, absolutely not.
But it is worth rescuing yourself. So that's the relationship you should work on.
Thanks so much.